With the coronavirus crisis relatively contained, the National Cabinet's focus turning to its hidden health toll.
Australians are hurting right here and right now.
A new $48 million cash injection for mental health, with $7.3 million allocated for real-time data reporting on incidents like suicide, $29.5 million for outreach to vulnerable communities, and $11.3 million for a public health campaign.
To say to Australians, it's okay not to be okay.
Modelling warned the suicide rate could rise by up to 50% during the pandemic and subsequent downturn, but some early optimism that spike hasn't eventuated.
It is heartening to look at those figures and to say it hasn't got worse. That doesn't mean it couldn't get worse.
Heartening figures from the Chief Medical Officer too.
Currently there are only 50 COVID-related patients in hospitals around Australia.
And just 12 of those are on ventilators. The lack of pressure on the hospital system allowing the National Cabinet to greenlight the resumption of more minor procedures.
The boom is going up on elective surgery all around the country. That will be done, of course, at the pace that states set.
States setting their own pace on moving through the three-step exit strategy, with briefings from the head of Treasury and Reserve Bank on the pandemic's economic impact. The banks so far have deferred $220 billion worth of loans, and the government is directly supporting 7.6 million Australians through JobKeeper and JobSeeker, more than half of the workforce. The Prime Minister warning the sheer size of that support isn't sustainable.
We have to be very mindful as we go through this crisis that the clock is ticking when it comes to how far and how much can be done.
The clock ticking too for the July school holidays. The PM hopeful states will open borders in a bid to help the tourism industry bounce back.
Australians who might otherwise go elsewhere, that is a very large market, and that will be targeted.
The dispute over beef and barley being targeted, meanwhile, continues to cause trade tensions with China. In his strongest comments to date on the diplomatic dispute, the Prime Minister pushed Beijing to show respect, regardless of Australia's push for a coronavirus inquiry.
We draw very clear lines about things that are very important to us, as does the Chinese government, and we respect their lines, as we expect our lines to be respected.
Scott Morrison signalling he won't sacrifice sovereignty amid a Chinese campaign resembling economic coercion.
I don't think any Australian would want us to compromise on those important things, and those things are not to be traded, ever.
Trudy McIntosh, Sky News, Canberra.